Hey guys, it's Anthony Reese, and this is my digital unit plan showcase. So the title is U.S. Foreign Policy post World War II. Here we have Khrushchev and Kennedy having a good old game of arm wrestling over two nuclear weapons. Thought that was pretty funny. So this is a class. This is an 11th grade U.S. history class. That's typically what you take in your junior year of high school. So California Social Studies Content Standards, 11.9 students analyze U.S. foreign policy since World War II. So we're going to talk about things like Truman Doctrine, McCarthyism, Vietnam War, Korean War, Bay of Pigs, some United Nations, what else? Yalta Conference, stuff like that. Important things during post-World War II. And some Common Core standards and literacy and history, speaking and listening. We're going to do some stuff like that. Driving questions. Why does the United States feel the need to be involved in all the world's affairs? What are the major political differences between the United States and Soviet Union? These are a lot of the questions students ask during the unit. So very important. And some big ideas. Origins of the Cold War. Started at the Yalta Conference in 1945 when the big three were mapping out post World War II Europe. So new countries being added, negotiations, promises being made that were broken. Number two is the UN was a peacekeeping organization to prevent future wars from happening throughout the world. So now we have this world police that's going to protect the world from going into the next World War III. Two newly crowned superpowers, United States and Soviet Union, fought each other on many platforms to win over the hearts and minds of the world. This event in history is known as the Cold War. So pretty much post-World War II to 1991 is known as the Cold War. The wars in Korea and Vietnam were the first two struggles where the Americans did not win outright and caused many deaths and tragedies, thus changing the perception of the U.S. government around the world and at home. So first time in history that United States aren't that forthright or outright winners at war, like in World War II, so not Civil War, American Revolution, World War I, Spanish American War. So changed a lot of public opinion at home and around the world. So and then American politicians like Senator Joseph Stalin used the Second Red Scare to send national paranoia to scare the American public and gain political popularity and authority. So politicians are calling everybody red or communist just so they can gain political power. It's a tactic they used. So that's kind of what my unit's about. We'll jump into the actual lessons. So let's go down the list. So first one, this is the simulation assignment. So right here you have the big three, Churchill, Stalin, and Roosevelt. This is their meeting in Yalta in 1945. So basically what this is a simulation. Students are going to be in groups of 6. They'll be in groups of 6. So two members in the group are going to be delegates from the United States, 2 will be delegates from the British or United Kingdom or Great Britain, and the other 2 are going to be Soviets. So before the students are in groups, they're going to read a background essay so they can know the history of each of these big 3 nations as they lead up to the Yalta Conference. And tell their stories of how they got there and why they are the way they are heading into the Yalta Conference. And then after that, they'll be put in their groups, and then I'll give them a goals and objectives sheet. So the delegates from the same country will go over their goals and objectives. There's going to be like a list of 10, and they will, let me show you here. So I have that one historical, this is the Soviet Union. So these are some things that happened to them. And it goes along with the background essay. So reasons why they're kind of these are kind of reasons why they're mad going into Yalta and things they want to fix for themselves. That's one for Great Britain. Here's one for Great Britain too. So like I was saying before, they get into the groups, they go over the plan of attack, which goals and objectives they think are the most important. And here we go. So here's one for the Soviet Union. So they're going to go over all of these. They're going to figure out which ones are important to them, which ones they want to attack, which ones they don't want to attack, and these are the ones they want to avoid, because each one has a point total. And the more points you get, the more better you do for your country. So soon as the delegates are going to give a couple minutes to go over their plan of attack before they actually get back to the bigger group, and they start negotiating and compromising with the other two countries. So once they're all done, each group will present their version of the Yalta Conference, and once everyone goes, we'll figure out what team had the most points, and they get some extra credit. And then I'll actually show the actual results, or what actually happened in 1945, the Yalta Agreement. So that's the first lesson. It's a cool simulation. Hopefully the students like that. Primary sources. So we'll jump to this one. So this is on the Red Scare, McCarthyism. So basically, to cut it short, students are going to watch this video. It's a HUAC meeting, House of Un-American Activities Committee. This is them questioning members of the U.S. military for being communist. Then they're going to watch this video as the HUAC questions members of Hollywood for being communist. And then there's one more document I don't want to open up right now because we're going to be short on time, but basically that's a letter between Senator Joseph McCarthy and President Truman. Basically McCarthy was asking Truman for info on his cabinet members because he suspected them of being communist, and Truman said, get the hell out of here, to cut it short. And then once they watch all three, read or watch all three sources, primary sources, then they're going to answer these higher level thinking questions to answer things in their own perspective. It's like a lot of why do you think questions. And then that's basically it for that assignment. There's a reading plan. So this one's going to be on Cuban Missile Crisis and Bay of Pigs. So what I'm going to have the kids do is break into groups of about 5, and then they're going to open their book to the section about the Bay of Pigs and Cuban Missile Crisis, and they're going to complete one of these SQ3R worksheets. So the cool thing about this is we're going to try to do this step by step. So first break the kids into groups, then tell them to survey this section. You're going to look at pictures, maps, charts, graphics, and stuff like that. Then I'll get their attention, ask them what they surveyed, have a couple of them share, and then do the same thing, how to make questions. I'm going to tell them to make questions, turn subheadings and headings into questions, and then, or whatever they feel like needs to be a question into a question, and then I'll get their attention again and have a few of them share what their questions were. Then I'll actually have them read the section to answer the questions, and then I'll get their attention once more and then ask them what they read, if they thought it was interesting, if anything doesn't make any sense, if any questions were left unanswered, and then lastly I have them retell. So each student, or the students, will retell what they learned on their worksheet. Each student is in charge of their own worksheet, so they write like a paragraph or two on what they learned, what they just read, and then they keep this as a study sheet. I'll grade it, give it back to them as soon as possible, and then what they do is keep this as a study sheet for the test, so it's a good study guide to have. And this is a cool lesson to do if technology fails you and your computer breaks down. You could always go to the book, because even though it might be boring sometimes, if you make it interesting, the book could be a great source. That's a map. Wrong one. So we're going to jump to lecture. So this lecture is going to be on, right here we have Ho Chi Minh, United States airstrike. So it's going to be on the wars, the actual war aspect of the Cold War. So we're going to talk about the Korean War and Vietnamese War, the war in Vietnam. Students are going to watch this PowerPoint, and they're going to take notes. And I created this guided notes worksheet for them. So it has a slide 1, title containment, and they'll answer these 3 slides because the answers will be within the slide. And then on the third box in this third row, there's critical thinking questions. So, do you think containment was the best strategy? Why or why not? Just questions to make them think and reinforce the three easier questions asked in the second box. And then once students are done, they'll have a quick write at the end of the period as an exit slip, basically saying if they think containment was completed and why the war in Korea was more successful than the war in Vietnam. And then we'll jump to this UN discussion. So we're going to discuss the UN. It's this newly formed world police, a peacekeeping organization. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show students this video that kind of explains what the UN is and when it was created, and then after that I will assign each student a nation to represent. So put a list of like 30 nations in a fishbowl, and I'll have each student pick out of a bowl and then that'll be the nation they're representing, and then they'll have their own like mock UN conference. And to make it relevant to today, I'll just talk about the situation in Crimea between the Ukraine and Russia. It's a pretty popular topic right now, and a lot of the students are interested in it. So we'll discuss that. We'll have like our own UN meeting. Each group or each nation will give their stance on it based on its relevancy to their country they're representing. And at the end, the students who get chosen or picked Security Council nations will give their final vote. So it's a pretty good election. It's a cool discussion slash almost like another simulation to do. And then lastly, it's the project. And from the picture you can see that it's a newspaper project. So this is an individual project where students will create a newspaper, a front page newspaper ad, or not an ad, a story. So they get to pick any of these topics. So they pick one on Yalta, Korea, Vietnam War, McCarthyism, Bay of Pigs, Cuban Missile Crisis, and they could pick any date and time when this event happened, and they could write a front page story about it. So the requirements is have the headline. They have to write at least one page in 12 font, at least one picture specific to the event, and they have to use 2 reliable outside sources and cite them in text. Wikipedia not available. And basically I want them to make it look like this. There's a lot of templates you can find on Google Docs, or they can make it off of Microsoft Word. Just make it look like a newspaper, and that'll be my final project. And basically that's my unit plan. Here's my unit map. I'll show you this. So foreign policy, so you have Cuba, Yalta, paranoia, war, and the last one is the UN. So that's my digital unit plan. I hope you enjoyed. It took me all semester. Had fun with y'all. Don't grade me too harshly. I'm just kidding. Grade me as hard as you want. I'm good with constructive criticism, even though I cry a little bit. Alright, just kidding. Have a good one, guys. Hope to see you next semester.